Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a ruthless and cruel sultan. His people hated him and were terrified of him, so much so that not a single person in the kingdom would even utter a word against him. They lived in silence, keeping their heads down. One day the Sultan decided to walk through his town, disguised in simple clothes. He wanted to hear what his people really thought of him, and wouldn't you know it, all he heard was mockery and anger. "Oh, would someone please come and take this garbage Sultan away? Who put this big dummy on the throne? He doesn't even know how to rule a kingdom. Why is the Sultan always hanging around? Can't he see we're tired of his royal highness?" The Sultan heard enough. He was deeply disturbed. How dare they mock him? He was the king, the almighty Sultan, wasn't he? Well, then he had the perfect plan to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. He returned to the palace and released his biggest and baddest elephant into the town. The elephant went on a rampage, destroying people's crops, breaking their bridges, frightening women and children. It was the Sultan's elephant, you know, so nobody dared complain. And soon enough, everyone was talking about the elephant. The Sultan's plan was working perfectly, but then the people got together and decided to seek help from the village sage. The wise man listened to their woes and then came up with a plan. "I have an idea," he told them, "but you must follow my instructions to the letter." The next day, they all gathered before the palace. The sage began chanting, "The elephant," and waited the people to complain and say what the elephant had done. That was his trick. But the people didn't respond. They were too afraid to speak up against the Sultan. The sage understood. It was now or never. "This is for our freedom," he said, and began again. "The elephant," and wait them to complain and say what the elephant had done. The Sultan watched from his balcony, confused. Why wasn't anyone accusing the elephant? "What about the elephant? What happened to it?" he shouted. The sage smiled and replied, "Nothing, my Sultan. The elephant is just lonely. I suggest bringing him 5 more elephants for company." The Sultan was pleased with the idea. "That's a wonderful suggestion," he said, and ordered his men to bring in 5 more elephants. The sage turned to the people and said, "This is what happens when we begin to stand up for our rights, but lose our voice halfway." And so the people remained silent, watching as the Sultan paraded 6 elephants through the town, each one more destructive than the last. They had meant to defy the Sultan, but their fear had gotten the better of them. If you like this story, press like and subscribe.